When you think about it, it's pretty amazing. After World War II, two nations were just completely defeated, and yet somehow they rose from the ashes to become global economic giants. Now, we've all heard the story of Japan and Germany's economic miracles. But what if the usual explanation, hard work, smart policies, American aid, what if that's missing the most important piece of the puzzle?
So, how did they do it? How did they manage such a mind blowing recovery and so incredibly fast? We always look at the economic charts, the GDP growth, the industrial output, but what if the real answer isn't in an economics textbook at all? What if it's somewhere deeper? All right, let's get into this. According to the French anthropologist and historian Emmanuel Todd, if you really want to understand why Japan and Germany took off like they did, you have to look at the most basic building block of their societies, the family. And not just any family, but a very specific type that shaped their cultures for centuries. So what is this family structure he's talking about? It's called the STEM family, or in Japanese, chokke kazoku. And believe me, it operates on a completely different set of rules than what many of us in, say, the Anglo-Saxon world are used to. Okay, so here's the basic idea. In a STEM family, only one child, and yeah, it's usually the eldest son, gets everything. The house, the business, all the assets. He and his new family then live with his parents, creating this vertical, multi-generational household. So what about the other kids? Well, they have to pack their bags and go make their own way in the world. The whole system is laser-focused on one thing: continuity. And this structure does way more than just decide who gets the house. It embeds a really powerful set of values into the culture. You get this deep, almost automatic respect for authority and hierarchy. You get an acceptance of inequality among siblings. That's just how it is. And you get this vertical flow of power and knowledge, straight down from one generation to the next. But above all, there's this intense drive to preserve what the family has built at all costs. And this is where you can really see the difference when you put it next to the Anglo-Saxon absolute nuclear family. In that world, the big values are liberty and individualism. All children are supposed to be treated equally. They're encouraged to become independent, leave home, and when the parents are gone, the assets get divided up among all the kids. It's not preserved in a single line. We're talking about two fundamentally different blueprints for how to build a society. So you have this unique family system totally focused on hierarchy and preservation. How in the world did that translate into an engine for such incredible economic growth? How did the Choke do it? Well, here's the key. Todd argues that the STEM family is basically a machine designed for one thing: acceleration. It is a system that is perfectly, almost uncannily, optimized for playing catch-up, for rapidly grabbing and mastering technologies and systems that were invented somewhere else. Let's break that down. First off, it's just incredibly efficient at transferring capital and knowledge. Nothing gets watered down or split up. Skills get passed directly from father to son, generation after generation. This creates amazing discipline and a super strong work ethic, all inside a stable, predictable structure. It was basically the perfect cultural software for the hardware of industrialization. And Todd has this perfect metaphor for it. He says the way knowledge and capital build up in these societies is like a snowball rolling downhill. It just gets bigger, denser, and faster with every single generation. What's gained is almost never lost. But, and this is a huge but, this incredible engine of success had a hidden cost. It turns out the system's greatest strength, its relentless drive for perfection and preservation, was also the seed of its greatest weakness. See, the ultimate goal of the STEM family system is what Todd calls infinite perfection. It's all about endlessly refining a process, a product, a technique. Think about German engineering or Japanese craftsmanship, but this leads to a pretty interesting paradox, right? What happens when perfecting the old way of doing things actually gets in the way of creating something brand new? To get our heads around this, we need a key idea from economics called creative destruction. The economist Joseph Schumpeter came up with it, and it's this idea that for an economy to really move forward, new things have to constantly replace and destroy the old things. It's a messy, often painful, but totally necessary cycle of renewal. And this is where that trade-off just becomes crystal clear. On the one hand, STEM family societies are masters of the catch-up. They are brilliant at taking an existing system and perfecting it, making small, steady improvements. But they really struggle with the chaos of creative destruction, with the kind of radical, out-of-the-blue innovation that just blows up old ways of doing things. Think of the garage startup culture of Silicon Valley. And the reason is actually pretty simple. The entire cultural system is designed to preserve. It's designed to pass things on intact. It values continuity way more than it values disruption. And when a system gets that good at preserving itself, it can become rigid. It can start to resist the very breakthroughs that are needed for the next wave of growth. It's like it becomes an anchor right when it needs to be a sail. So all of this leaves Japan and Germany with a really complex, kind of double-edged legacy as they navigate the 21st century. And here's the crazy part. The very cultural DNA that powered their post-war miracles, that discipline, that order, that focus on perfecting what's already there, that's now becoming their biggest challenge in a world economy that rewards disruption and radical, unpredictable change. Todd uses this amazing term for what's happened. He calls it a zombie state. See, the original family structure, that three-generation household in the countryside, that's mostly gone. But the values it created, the cultural ghost of the STEM family, that is very much still alive. And these zombie values, discipline, collective identity, order, they actually still give these countries a huge advantage in high-end manufacturing and trade. They create a kind of national consciousness that pushes back against pure individualist consumerism. The whole homo economicus idea, that we're all just rational actors out for ourselves. And that brings us to the big, final question we have to ask. In a world that is now defined by constant, nonstop disruption, can a culture that was built from the ground up for stability and perfection, can it adapt? Can it survive? The hidden engine that powered their incredible rise is still running, but the entire world it has to navigate has changed, maybe forever.